Well, welcome everybody. We appreciate you being here tonight. My name is David Tuckett. I'm the city manager for Payson City. We do have some of our elected officials here. The mayor is here, Councilman Christensen, Councilwoman Carter, Councilwoman Hyatt. I think we're missing two council members. They probably will be here in a little bit. But we appreciate you being here. This was set up as an informational meeting. We are recording it. We thought we'd put it out on the website, social media, so the people that were not able to attend could get the information that we have. We're going to go through a little bit of a process. I'll kind of give you a little background from my perspective. And we do have a contractor here that was awarded a contract to put meters in. And that'll take some time to explain what they will be doing when they go to each of the homes. And then we can open it up for questions. You can also talk to the different council members, or we have our public works director here as well, our water superintendent, and we have different people that we can try to answer any questions that might be here. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a summary. I know Payson City put their pressurized irrigation system in back in, I think they started in '89. I think they finished up either 90 or 91. It's been a great resource for the city of Payson. At that time, we were able to save quite a bit of drinking water for our outdoor irrigation. We were one of the first in the state to do the pressurized irrigation. Back in the time when the irrigation system was put in, there were no meters available to read the dirty water. That's why a lot of the early pressurized systems throughout the state did not have meters. Salem City's similar, they don't have meters, they're working on that as well. Spanish Fork did put the meters in at about that time, is when the technology was there that you could read some of the dirtier water with your meters. But so we've had pressurized systems since the early 90s, and it's been a great benefit to our citizens. The discussion of metering has happened over the years with different councils for quite some time. There's been mixed response from our council members, whether to meter or not. That we started getting serious about discussing meters about 5 or 6 years ago, with the exception of last year when we had a great water year, and I hope we continue to get another great water year. But with that exception, we had 5 years of drought situations, and that's the time when I just remember Councilman Phillips talking to me and Mayor Moore, and they were not in favor of metering. But after the drought years and having to try to put you on odd even days and ration more, and Council Member Phillips was also put on the Strawberry Water User Board. Some of the trainings he went to, he finally came back and said, you know, we've got a meter. In order to conserve water, when you try to encourage people to conserve without the meters, it doesn't happen. And we found that in the 5 years of drought, we had a hard time. I know one year we had to shut down a little bit early, and it was just hard to make it through the irrigation season. And so those discussions had happened quite some time. The state of Utah keeps drafting bills, and they did pass a bill last year, and I'll just read parts of that bill because I know I've had complaints back, well, the state hasn't mandated it yet, so why are you doing it? And this has been decided a few years ago by the previous council, and as we go forward, but the state of Utah did pass a bill last year. It's House Bill 52, and it did mandate that any new connections from a public water supplier, which we're one of them, any new connections had to have a meter on it. And so there was some mandatory metering of secondary water. It also said that each water provider, which Payson is one, shall develop a plan for metering the use of the pressurized water in accordance with this subsection. And by the end of this year, we're supposed to turn in a report, which we've already turned it in, but it said the report needs to contain the following: a cost of full metering of the secondary water provider system. So the state wants to know what it would cost to fully implement water metering with all your secondary system. The second part was how long it would take the secondary water provider to complete full metering, including the anticipated begin date and completion date, and how the secondary water supplier will finance the metering. We've already turned that provision in pursuant to the state requirement. About a year ago, with some of our water consultants, we determined that there's some of our pressurized irrigation system was undersized, there's some existing deficiencies. So we applied to the state water board for a loan for those two projects to correct those deficiencies. And when we were up meeting with the water board, they suggested, you know, metering's going to happen, and we'd like to just loan you the rest of the money so you can get your metering done. And so we took it back to the council. We've had a public hearing on that where the council approved the budget for the two pressurized irrigation projects that we initially went to the state water board, and then at their suggestion to get funding to finish out the water meters. So that's where the funds came from. At that point, we met with Hanson Alous, which is our water consulting engineer, and they helped us get the plan ready. We put out the bid to put the secondary meters in all of our secondary connections. And we did award that bid to a construction company. They'll be here to explain what they would be doing at each of the homes to get those meters in place. We have that project will take approximately 18 months. We don't plan on changing rates because of the water metering until all the meters are in, and hopefully we can get some couple of months of data so we can see how much each home is using. We'll have some educational information along with our consulting engineers to help gather information of how much water each lot should use for the size they have, and hopefully come up with a fair rate structure that would, our intent, and I think you can talk to the council members that are here, that our intent is that if a home is using the amount of water that they should use based on the data, that the cost of the pressurized irrigation water will not be much different than what we have now. If you use a lot more water, you of course you will pay more, and hopefully if you keep your water use down, you won't see much of an increase, if any. But that's the plan. We have time while these meters are being put in that we can have public meetings, we can have educational meetings, we can try to get data behind of how much water is needed to water a lawn. And hopefully we can, yes?
One question. I don't like the way this is going. I don't like what Payson has been doing. When I moved here 13 years ago, the irrigation water was $11 a month, and it would never go up, and I could use it whenever I need it. Now it's $22 a month, and I can use it 3 days a week during specific hours. And I hear you saying lots of stuff about we don't expect it to go up. We hope that it doesn't. Well, I already know what they're going to do to us. I want to know how I can opt out, because this is ridiculous.
Okay, we will open up for questions after we get the contractor and other
I don't care how they're putting it in. I don't like getting taken advantage of by the city. Thank you.
Okay. So,
You give them an inch and they take them on.
Would you just let us talk? That's what we're here for. We're not here to yell. We're not here to bash each other, but we're here to try and understand what's going on.
as we've said, we're trying to utilize the pressurized irrigation system that we have, and it was put in almost 30 years ago. I know I've heard a lot from from citizens saying we were promised back when that was put in it would never go up from $8 and we could use all the water we wanted. And it's difficult because we do live in the second driest state in the union. Nevada's #1, we're #2. And with all the population growth we're having, we have to plan for the future. And as the state has started to do here, they have mandated that we give a plan of how we're going to meter our system, and that all new connections have to be metered. And so our council's decided to do that. And so we're trying to get the information out. Like I say, we have probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years that we can work on getting a fair rate structure. It hasn't been set of how it's going to happen. We have the rates that we have right now that will cover the cost at this point, and we hope to get data from all the homes so that we can see how much water you are using, and by having the meter structure, you can see how much water you're using, and if you can control how much water you put out on your lawn. It's going to happen statewide because we do live in the desert, and we're trying to plan for the future. I know 30 years ago we had a population of 10,000 or less, and we're now at 22, 23,000, and the water's the same amount of water as we had 30 years ago. You know, a lot of it depends on the drought, a lot of it depends on what Mother Nature provides to us. So we are trying to make things more efficient, we're trying to make things work. But why don't we let the contractor, Travis, do you want to introduce the contractors, and we can at least discuss how they're going to proceed in installing the meters, and then we'll invite the mayor to say a few words, and then we'll open it up to questions.
So I'll introduce, we put this out to bid through the process that the state requires us to do, and we got some bids back, and Hydrovac was the contractor that was the low bid on this, and so they have got all their information ready to us. We've done the notice to proceed, everything. All we're doing is they've got to have a pre-construction meeting, and they're ready to go. So what we wanted to do was just have them introduce how and what they'll be doing on your property, because there is a public utility easement that exists, or we're in the right of way in the older areas. So, you know, we do have the right to do this, so that, you know, it's not that we have to get your property or your permission, but we wanted to let everyone know so that when you see a truck and a crew out there digging, you're not wondering what they're doing and why they're there. So I'll introduce Jeremy and Cody. I don't know which one of you guys are going to speak first, but they're the contractors that have been chosen for this, and so we'll open that up, and then if you have questions after, and after the mayor speaks, we can go that far.
Thank you, Travis. So I'm Jeremy. Over here's Cody, and also Shiloh. We're from Hydrovac. So we're the contractor. We're an excavation company. And we've done hundreds of these meters throughout the Wasatch Front. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of different scenarios. We might not have seen them all, but we've seen a lot, and we kind of know how to handle them. So we can answer any of those questions to help you foresee them. Just to clarify a few things, we will definitely make sure you're aware that we're in your area, your neighborhood. Payson's asked us to put out door hangers, and on the door hangers we'll have all our information, have our phones, our contacts. You'll have direct access to all of us. So as we go in, we obviously are going to be in the yards. Every yard will have some landscaping that we'll have to deal with. So essentially, we set up a model up here. Well, simply all we're going to do is we're going to add this meter. This represents a homeowner and their site with this valve, and some will have filters and so forth, and the stop and a waste. Beyond that is where we're going to add into the meter, and we're also going to add a stop and waste for the city side. So we're going to come in, and we've been able to do this enough that we've found what's most effective, most efficient for us, and that works with a vac truck. We've come in with some vac trucks. Now, not every scenario is going to work that way. We're not going to have to be able to get access to a big vac truck, but if you know what a vac truck is, it's a great big truck that is basically a vacuum. And we use water in a vacuum, and we suck it up. So we're not going to be trenching in the yards. We're going to boom out with our truck that extends out far enough that we can just come in with a hose and back it out. So most of you have a box now, and we're going to be adding a box on the back side of that we can place this meter in. And we'll come in and we'll vac it out. It'll be a very, very clean process. We're taking all the dirt with us. So as we suck it in, we're taking it out, and then we install, put our new box back on, and we come back and we backfill and make everything back the way it was, restore the landscape. Payson's done a great job at specifying what needs to be done. Some will be in concrete. Some will be in different sort of landscaping rock or whatever it is, and we'll restore everything as is. In the concrete, we'll be taking out the concrete and put the concrete back. So process is very, very seamless. We're in and we're out. Most of the time you won't even know. I mean, in the day we'll accomplish 10 to 20 of these a day, and we're going to go through the neighborhood and we're going to put door hangers on so you have access to us. And we'll add the meter to your system. Fair enough? Want to open to questions? Now we're going away. Okay.
On the door hangers, I have a rental house.
Okay. Good question. We have a rental home, and we'll probably have to work with the city on how to handle that. We don't have access to be able to get you and your information. So we can work with the city on how they want to handle that. But at this point, we're going to go around and get the door hangers on and get access.
We can put it on our website later.
There you go. Okay. Okay. So the city will get our information out there so it all can be.
Okay, are you going to be working with the gas company so you don't accidentally dig up our gas line?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we've gone to the back trucks. Is mainly for the utilities, because we're not going to have any equipment in there digging. We have just a great big vacuum. But yes, we will be working with, not necessarily, we don't have contact with the gas company.
But that 811 number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Blue Stick,
Are
yeah.
these gonna go on the parkway? The strip between the sidewalk and the city?
So we're going to go next to the existing, where it's at now. So where your existing,
Mine is in the driveway,
yeah.
and so you're gonna tear up the driveway and
Yep.
you put it
Travis might
back
have a better
there.
answer, yeah.
Do I just put it back the face over?
And there might be a different scenario as we come and meet with you and we meet with the city and make some decisions. But right now, not knowing what you have, we will be cutting the concrete and adding a meter in. Yeah.
So I might get a bill for putting in the meter? No, okay, all right, that's all I care.
Yeah, we'll put the concrete back. Yeah, we'll restore it. You'll have we'll put the concrete back and cover it as we have it now. We'll just add a box to it. Go ahead.
You're probably not the one I need to talk to. I want to know how I can go ahead and opt out, because, like I said, their word is not good.
Yeah, I think they've heard that.
Every time I turn
Yeah.
around, it's going up, and this is.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Where's your company out of and how long you been in
How do I
business?
opt out? Where's my?
You just let it go for different, we'll answer that as best we can. If we have to do it individually, we will. Okay?
Thank you. Great question. How long we've been in business and where are we out of? We're located out of Lehigh, so we're a Utah County based company. And between Cody and I, we're well into business over 20 years. So, yeah. And again, like I said, we've done 100 of these meters exactly as they are throughout the Wasatch. So we've been doing quite a few with other cities. Yeah.
What size meter do you put in?
What size meters? Well, Payson has from 4-inch to 1-inch. And Travis might show you some of the bid docs here that clarify. We have them spread out from 1-inch all the way to 4-inch.
So they're 12 meters.
They are.
They're census meters.
What's the opening?
Well, they're one, that's exactly the one residential meter right there. It's a 1-inch meter.
So it's a 1-inch opening.
Is what'll be put on a residential. If you're obviously a business, then it could be a 2-inch,
Yeah.
1.5, whatever. But
It's a little wider than it kind of goes back down to the recognition. Better be
So-
careful when we got that big stuff coming through the system now.
So 55 gallons a minute is what the specs is on the meter.
But it's one of the 12 here, it's on the new paging desk.
no, there's no moving parts in there. That's why we chose these meters, because we didn't want that to get broken off and then there wasn't.
You got a question on that?
Okay.
Yes, I didn't hear our thoughts on that. Do we take this meter and put it out the line for
So the question is do we pay for the meters, is what she's asking, and the line, I guess the work, is that what, the meter and stuff? I'll let Travis can answer that.
So there will not be an additional cost to any resident or business with this. This is all going to be, this is already included in the cost of your utility bill. So that will not, you're not going to see a separate bill that says, oh, here's another $1,000 bill that you're going to get to put these in. That's already included in the bill that we raised. So, yeah. So if you can see up here, it's hard to see because this projector's not very bright, but the meter will go in either in the planter strip and you're in the right behind the sidewalk. It just depends on the situation that you have in front of your house. Like my house, I live here in Payson just like all of you. I have a monolithic sidewalk, so that means the curb and gutter and sidewalk are right touching. So mine's going to go in the yard right behind the sidewalk. But, you know, it might go in the planter strip. If you've poured concrete around where the PI meter, you know, will come in, then they're going to have to cut the concrete, put the meter in, and replace the concrete around the box, around this green box. So each situation is going to be a little different, but this just gives you a couple ideas of what some of them might look like, depending where they're at.
So they're gonna tie it back into the existing sprinkler systems, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Everything will be hooked back up. You'll be off and running as soon as they get the meter and the box in. Everything. So they can do this in the winter, in the summer, spring. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Now, if there's 5 feet of snow, that might slow them up a little bit.
Do these meters meter gallons or acre per feet, or how are
They measure in gallons.
The meters cost a certain amount of money. You say it will not increase our bill. What is the long-term overall cost? How many years will this take to pay for it? Or explain that to me, please.
I'll let Dave take that one.
So we did get along with the Board of Water Resources. They gave us up to $6 million for the water meters. The bid, I think the bid with some of the other items we needed to get these installed, it was 5.3?
About
5.1. So it's less than what the state gave us. That is a 20-year loan with the state. If we can pay it off sooner, we can pay it off sooner, but it's a 20-year loan. Your PI rates were increased in July, and that covers the payment for all these meters going in over time. So, like I say, we have to look at rates every year, not only with water. We have to look at it with power and everything else. The expenses we have on water do not stay the same as they were 13 years ago when you moved here. Our assessment with Strawberry Water Users, which is our secondary water, and Highline Canal Company, they've gone up quite a bit. And so we have to be able to cover those costs as well. Everything doesn't stay the same. So every year we look at, the council looks at all of the rates to see if we can cover all the costs. The costs increase with employment, employees, the cost of water has gone up. Central Utah Project putting in a system right now through our town and next year, and that cost is going to go up when we have to start paying for that water. So the expenses keep coming every year, and so we have to look at them every year. Yes?
Years ago, my house was built in 1901. My grandfather used to go up and down the ditch to fight for his water. He owned his water right. I owned the water right when I bought the property for my father. It's been in my family for generations. So my costs did go up, but now you're putting me on this pressurized water that I really didn't want. I don't think a lot of the people that own their water rights want it. There was a lot of people in Payson that didn't have water rights. Now everybody has water. Everybody in Payson has water because of the people that own the water rights. So now we're paying a big cost. Now you're going to put a meter on and tell us how much water we can use up to a point and then keep raising the cost. That's what happens here in Payson. It's not fair, it's not right.
There's water rights. Every new development that comes in has to bring.
Existing
Go ahead.
hookups. Well, you leave
Go ahead.
I'll just take a minute. I kind of, as a councilman, I'm getting to that. I'm Brett Christensen. I'm one of your councilmen, and I'm with you. I have the larger lot. I have an acre inside of town that did have existing water rights on it. And when the pressurized irrigation came through, those were absorbed into the system to provide it for everyone else. And like Dave has said, every new connection that comes has to buy water rights. There was a big piece of land behind me, the homeowner subdivided it, the new people had to buy additional water rights at that point in time to build the house. Okay, so all new connections have had to purchase these same water rights that we have put into the system that is now there running. The cost of what we're paying is more to maintain it for the majority part, the pipes and everything that's there, existing stuff, upgrades, fixes, leaks, make sure it's enough there. The water, we're paying for the water on top of that as well. Those water rights came, they weren't free, we still have to pay for that. The, whatever you call them, you know what I'm trying to, the assessments, that's the word I'm looking for. And as a councilman, I agree wholeheartedly with all of the comments that are going on here. And my goal as a councilman is to maintain our current monthly rates to the best ability that we can. And so that we're not bombarded with high rates that other cities are paying. And where we pay it year-round right now, my hope as your councilman is to maintain that we can keep that where we need to be so that the rates don't fluctuate. And we have a while before we're going to actually come back and assess it and say, all right, we're not conserving the water. We're trying the educational aspect of it first. And my goal is to determine through Hansen, Allen, Luce how much water each one of these connections should physically need. And then we don't get the people that water 7 times a week in the middle of the day, all the time. Us as a city will know where our water is going, how much water we're using so that we can start to conserve as well. Our schools have been put onto a new system so that they can run at night and not deprive us of that water. And I know a lot of people talk about the fact that, well, we're still on metering, we only can water every other day. Truth be known, when the council voted it in '89, they says we don't need a bigger system. We can run the city on this size lines, and it'll only run half the city. So, a bigger reason than the water is that our system can't handle everybody turning their sprinklers on at 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't work. So that's why we've divided the half and half. And I know that that's kind of a pain to do that, but with this metering system, we don't need to necessarily watch and say, hey, you can only run that sprinkler for 15 minutes. We can look at it and say, how much water are we using? It's my understanding that this data is available to us, right? It's to the homeowner. Like not on your monthly bill, you don't pull it up and go, oh, well, I used 300,000 gallons of water this month. I didn't even know what was going on. We can look at it readily. Okay, you can log on and look and say, how much water did I use this week? Okay, I watered last night. How much did I really use? Where's it going? What's going on? It's more of a conservation move. We're not out to fleece you. I promise you that. And I worry every time we have to fluctuate a bill, a tax, it comes back and it hits my family just as hard as the rest of you. Okay, and I understand that. So, it is a concern. But I'll tell you this much right now. I didn't want to walk up and down the ditch bank to fight people with a shovel spiking water at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I really appreciate the fact that I still get to sleep. And my garden gets watered, and I get up and go, wow, look, it's all nice and green, and I didn't have to get out of bed. So there's pros and cons to it, and I understand that if you fight for water is a tough, hot button topic. But yes.
They said by 2028 is when all residences gotta have metered water.
Right.
Why are we jumping in with both feet right now?
Because when we went up and asked for this loan, they offered it to us at a rate that we would have been fools to have passed on. In 2026, if we were to go back and get it, it would cost us 10 times as much for it. So we jumped the gun to save the citizens money.
What rate are you getting it at?
1%. A 1% rate. So in loan terms, that's virtually free. And in 2028, when Hydrovac is booked throughout the state, rates are gonna go through the roof. They're gonna be in high demand, and we'll pay for it at that point in time. Do you want me to fill all the, at least for me or for somebody else? Yes.
I don't know if 2028's actually been set by the state, but they've
They're
thrown
in black and white.
that one there. Is that House Bill, is that Senate Bill 52?
I don't know whether you're a councilman or not.
Yeah. I know there's been a lot of dates floated around.
Yeah, I live down on the other end. We live on a 5-acre part of the thing. My great-grandpa bought the water rights. I got the canceled check for Strawberry Water in 1930. $325 for 5-acre foot, but we got 10-acre foot of water that was on that property. Are you gonna reimburse us for that money? Now you're gonna meter it?
You still have the water right, is that?
I got the check that says we own the water, and it's to Strawberry Water users.
Yeah, I don't know.
Payson City Treasurer.
So if you still own the water,
And
then
everybody in here that had ditch water, bought Strawberry water rights. Are you gonna reimburse everybody like Cheryl was just talking about? Give us our money back for what the water we own, or are you gonna let us have that water, not meter it?
if you still own the water, you'll get the bill from Strawberry yourselves. If it's been transferred
No,
to the city.
the water was, Strawberry water went through Payson City. They allocated so much when they did it. I got the hot papers that says it. You was allocated so much water. Payson City sold the water to each individual through the ditches. When we went to the city council, when we did the secondary water, they told it exactly what it says. Yes, you own the water, but how are you going to get it to your property because we're taking the right away from you, the ditch from you. And anybody in here that was to the meetings can tell you the very same thing. We own 10-acre foot of water. Now, are you going to let us have 10-acre foot before the meter starts?
We're going to continue to deliver the water where you're at through our
Right,
system.
without a cost. Until I use over 10-acre foot of water.
There is a cost to deliver it to you, just like we have to pay.
Exactly, but that's, you can charge me the cost to deliver, but what about the price of the
I'll
water?
look into that to make sure where we're at. That's what I'm trying to say, allocate the amount that we're.
Everybody in here that had ditch water paid for it, somewhere down the line.
Thanks, Ron.
I got a question.
Thanks, Ron.
When I first built my house, I did have ditch irrigation. And the city came to me, and they told me that if I would sign my water rights over to the city, that they would give me water that I could use 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and still never use the water that I was allotted. Now, you've come back and you said, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or whatever, I don't have a problem with that. I can't, but the thing that I'm sitting down thinking is the city told me one thing, now they're doing another. Could we trust Payson City? If they sit down and tell us something in a deal, is that deal going to go away when you decide we want something else or we need something else, and so you're going to crap on me and tell me I've got to start paying more, I've got to be limited as to what I can use when I had all the water I could use in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still never use all my water. Now you're trying to take that away from me. And so either you guys lied to us up front 40-something years ago, and we can't trust Payson City. That's all there is to it. You say one thing, you do another.
I guess I can't really answer that because the process that we've had for several hundred years is the people vote in the council members and they make the best decisions they can make at the time. And it's been 40 years ago.
But they've taken away the right that you guys give me, the city of Payson give me a right. And you have taken that right away because we got somebody new elected and they think it's a different, better way to do it. So you're going to crap on me and others that are in the same boat so that you can please yourself and you can please the city. That's not honest and that's not fair. And so I'm saying, can I trust the city in the future? I don't think I can. I don't think I can trust the city at all.
All right, thank you.
That's fine. I know this is an emotional issue. I'll get to you in just a second, okay? The facts, and I don't know, I don't have all the answers either. And it's not that you can't trust the city. It's that, just a second, let me answer your question, okay? The facts are that the United States government owns all the water. They allow each state to regulate that water. And then as the state comes to the cities, the state actually regulates that water to the cities. And I understand the fact that you have bought some water rights. I totally understand that. I had water rights myself on my property. I flood irrigated. But your water rights don't do you any good if there's no water there. You can put that sheet up and say, I got this water right. But when there's no water there to deliver, then you don't really have anything other than that paper. So this is, above all, the ability that the cities and states and country has to regulate the water. When you take a look at other states that are using conservation, we pale by comparison. We use an awful lot of water. And so it is a conservation thing, and it does protect your water rights. At least you're getting some water that you may not get otherwise. We had 5 years of drought. There's only so much water that can be saved in the reservoirs that we have. And there is the CUP water that's coming, but it is going to be extremely expensive. It's going to be less to us than it is up in Salt Lake. They're paying a heck of a lot more for the water than we are. So it is a conservation thing. Go ahead with your question.
So you did what you're doing, but my question is, if the state owned the water, why did Payson City make the promise to me or make the agreement with me, and now they're dishonoring that agreement because, and you're using the excuse the state owns this or the federal government owns the water. You guys made the deal with me. So you guys, the city, is the one that
at the time those agreements were valid. I mean, things they do change. Well, they change because of the water situation. Like was said, we're the second driest state in the nation.
I work with the state in fishing. I understand all of the water rights. But I also know that you guys made me a promise and others a promise, and you've reneged on it. Therefore, are you being honest with us? Or were you being honest at the time? Or were you just going to break everything and do what's normal?
We're being as honest as we can at the time that we've got.
Yes.
Question, if you stick a meter on my lawn, on my perforated water, are you going to maintain pressure?
Yeah, that.
The thing is, I can go out at 6 o'clock in the morning during the summer, I only have 45 pounds pressure. 8 hours after 10 o'clock, it's 85.
Two of the projects that we approached the state on were to help with the pressure by the existing deficiencies we had. So we're working hard to make sure there is pressure. We're trying to fix the areas where we do have some deficiencies and trying to keep the pressure up.
You run a 16-inch water line down about 500 feet from my house. And now, are you going to connect that into to where I have decent pressure?
We'd have to look at where you're at.
Is this going to be the second meter? We've got culinary water now.
You've got a culinary meter, yes you do. And this will be a second one.
This will be the second meter.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
About the meters.
Okay.
Okay, the congressman, the councilman says that those meters that you're putting on is just so that we can monitor how much we're using, okay? I don't believe that. I think you're putting the meters on so that if we're watering on one of, past the time or before the time or on the wrong day, that we're going to start getting charged even more and more. I honestly believe with all my heart that's why they're putting the meters on.
So is that a question or just a statement?
It is a question.
Okay. The question is, the technology is available so that you can look at your own water use. You can get online, and that's what the technology with the meters do. So yeah, you can look at your own water and see how much you're using. Hopefully that you can look at that and say, yeah, maybe I'm watering too much. We're going to try to get educational.
My question is the city going to no, there's a meter and we can see that they're not supposed to be watering on this day or at this time. And we're gonna start charging them even more than the $22 a month. Or whatever else.
Our hope is that we can, with the metering, we can help conserve so that we can have sufficient water for all of us, for our children
So
and
are you
people that
saying
move
so
in.
that our rates won't go up if we're accidentally watering an hour early?
We're hoping that we don't have to have the 3 days a week. Once we get the meters in, that, you know, people will water and water responsibly, and then we won't have to put you on restrictions. That's the hope. We don't know. We don't know if we get several years of drought, we may not have enough water to let everybody water whenever they want. Question?
Yes, I wonder what the projected growth is over the next 5 or 10 years and how that will affect the amount of water that has to be shared with another 8,000 homes or something.
Yeah, the projected growth, there's several out there, but the Kim C. Gardner Institute from the University of Utah, they're projecting that Utah County, and Payson specifically, will probably, yeah, it's double. I'm trying to think of the exact amount. They're projecting that Payson will be closer to, is it 50,000? 42,000 in 10 years.
So that's less water for everybody. Is there a ceiling for the amount that you raise? Sounds like you're going to look at it every year. So is there a ceiling that it can or cannot go above each year?
I don't know if there's been discussion about a ceiling. We try to look at what the expenses are. There's some expenses with the water system we can't control. The assessments that we have to pay for the strawberry water and the other water. So the councils have to look at that every year.
They do have to bring water in when a development
Yes,
comes. They have to bring water.
any new development that comes in to build homes, they have to bring additional water. So there should be water to water the increased population that we have. But we have to be, that's why I think the state's taken such an active role to saying statewide, the state's going to grow by several million over the next 20 years. So it's an issue that the state's trying to grapple with as well.
Can we go back to Bart Harrison's question real quick before it totally gets cold on the table? He asked about the pressure situation. As a city, we don't know where the water is going. Okay? It goes down one pipe, it comes out, it goes into 2,500 homes. There's no way to tell who's pulling where and what and why we have our pressure drops. With these meters, we can now look at it and go, okay, we're moving this much water down this line, and this line is undersized. These guys need more water in this neighborhood. It wasn't built properly. That gives us the ability to then move forward and try to fix those pressure issues. Okay? Am I correct? That's my understanding, is that we need to know where the water's gone, where it's going. So the majority of what we're after here is information. Okay? And so on and so forth.
Back and back.
Well, you know, I think the one thing that you need to consider, and I don't know that you are, we've got people that are fixed income. And you bring these meters in, and we got this good deal on this home, and we're gonna all pay it off, and it's not gonna hurt anybody, it's only $5 a month. That $5 might break somebody from paying their bill. And I think it's sad that every time you guys get an idea, hey, let's get it in here and get going on it, we can borrow the money. I mean, you know, you've got to consider us people that are retired and fixed income. Because the more money you take out of my pocket, the less I can do for my family. And that's the same way it is with other people. And that's what you need to consider. You made us a promise, sure, and I understand that you have to change because of the water situation, and I'll accept that. But I don't want you to put a meter on my place and then come back to me and say, here's a $30 extra bill because you used an extra cup of water. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. And I think I sat in a lot of meetings with several councils, including this last one, and they are concerned about raising rates, especially people on fixed income. It's hard to sit up there and be on the hot seat and make those decisions. It's not just, oh, we'll go borrow the money. They really think about it, and it's a hard decision to raise a rate. It really is.
What does it cost for a couple of cans of paint so I can just paint my lawn green?
There was a question in the back.
There's a new pressurized irrigation master plan coming out. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are doing master plans for water, for sewer, so yeah, the same consultants that's been helping us with the pressurized, they've been doing the master planning. They're very good. I think they represent many municipalities throughout the state. They know what they're talking about with water, so it is coming out.
So is it a full master plan?
I specified specifically that they go back and actually figure out what's existing in the city as well to incorporate it into that plan. Because if we just look at what's new, I can tell right here that these aren't the new subdivisions for the most part. This is Old Town Payson, and that's what we're here about.
So we'll evaluate the system as we have it moving forward as well.
Yes.
You guys got a lady that's had her hand up.
Yep, I'm getting to her. I was just working around.
No worries. So I have a question, I'm just trying to understand the rates. Right now we're paying that monthly rate. So when the meters come in, is the water you use, will it be above and beyond that meter rate? I mean, that monthly rate right now?
Right now, the monthly rate that you're paying covers the expenses that we have right now.
Right.
There's a hope, I talked to some council members this morning, that we can keep that rate. When the meters are all put in, we look at the usage. More than likely, there will be a graduated rate. If somebody uses a ton of water, they probably should pay more than those that use what's allotted to them. So we're trying to make it fair, and that's why we've incorporated the water consultants with us, so that we can get data and information to say a half-acre lot or a quarter-acre lot. The numbers show that you should use this amount of water, and we're hoping that the council's hoping that if you're using the amount of water you should on your lot, that the rates will be very similar to what you're paying. If you have somebody that just uses a lot of water and they don't really care, they keep their sprinklers on day and night, then they probably will pay more.
Okay, so then there's going to be a basic rate, but that is incorporated to the percentage of water that you should be allotted to use.
There will be a basic rate, and some of that hasn't been fleshed out yet. Like I say, it's going to take a year to 18 months to put the meters in, and so we're going to have a lot of informational meetings. We can look at what the data says and try to get information based on our soils here in our town, and hopefully come up with a rate. Brian, you had a...
Yeah, a couple of things on that. As we try to be fair on the rates, we're gonna have public hearings. It's not gonna be, well, all of a sudden here's the rates and everything, and we're throwing it out to you. You're gonna have an opportunity to look and see what we're doing and talk about it, and we want as much input as we can get. And we don't have to do it immediately as soon as all the meters are in. We have flexibility when we start doing this. So we want to do it right and fair. And again, we're making no promises, because as you can see, when people try to make promises, it doesn't work. But we're going to try to be as fair and right as we can.
So my question is, when you put them, you're working on the rates, could you please look at like the other cities, Provo and Orem, because they've all struggled with this, and they've managed to come up with answers that kept their citizens happy.
We absolutely will do that. We have done that. Hanson Luz represents a lot of those cities, and have gone through the pain that they've had to go through to get things, stabilized. We do, and our council sees every year when we look at the budget comparison of what our water rates are compared to the other cities. And so we do try to be cognizant of what others around us charge, and we're in the bottom third of the county for what our water rates are.
Just really, are you guys okay with this type of open forum, or would you like to just break and we got 5 or 6, all 5 council members are here. We got these guys. Do you want to talk to us on one-on-one or like this?
Like this.
Like this, okay. Back to who had the floor, sorry.
Yeah, behind you, Kay, first.
Or is the city just gonna assess, say we got a half-acre lot, hey, they're gonna use this much water, are we gonna be charged for that? Because if we taken, you know, some of our grass out and whatever for driveways and stuff like that, are we gonna pay, hey, the city says you got a half acre, you're paying half-acre water, that ain't right.
So our consultant, Hanson on Lou, says on average, the typical residential lot is about 60% of their total lot is watered. Now, if we find that you're only watering 30% of that, and we can prove that, that's something we can look at. But, you know, you got to remember, we've got 4,700 roughly connections to analyze. That's not something that with our staff we can just do in 5 minutes. That's going to take a lot of effort. But
you got to remember, a lot of, you know, and you guys never did answer this fellow's question, a lot of us give up our water rights. Are we going to be metered for our water rights that we give up? We shouldn't be.
That I can't answer. I mean, what happened 30 years ago, I can't help you. But just to give you a little background, because this will answer a lot of your concerns, Saratoga Springs currently pays $30,000 an acre foot for water right now. We are paying like $4,500 to $5,000 an acre foot in this area. You know, Central Utah is going to be, they're under construction. If you've been out on Salem Canal Road right now, they're putting in a 60-inch pipeline right now, and they're planning on starting construction next year in Payson to put another section of that line in. We've already been contracted to have some of that water, over 5,000 acre feet of that water. That water is going to cost about $1.7 million a year for Payson City. We are one of the cheapest rates around. Spanish Fork has meters in. They charge you a base rate plus 89 cents a 1,000 gallons right now for every drop of water that goes through that meter. Saratoga Springs, they do a similar thing. In fact, if you start getting over your allotment, they charge you over $2 or $3 a gallon, 1,000 gallons. So I know everyone's concerned about this. We don't, like Dave said, we don't try to raise your rate just to raise it. I pay the same rate you do. I don't enjoy raising it anymore. The council doesn't. But water is going to get more expensive. Like Dave alluded, the population is expected to grow by 2050. Utah County is expected to be as large or larger than Salt Lake County. So these are all your grandchildren, your children. This is who's coming. This is not all move-ins. So if you want water for everyone, we have to conserve. And that's what this whole point is. So,
are these developers gonna pay for the water for the new people, or the new people gotta pay it? Let these developers start paying a little bit out of their pocket.
They do, and they have to bring additional water in. That's part of that. I'm not sure, Kay, you had your hand up.
When you guys proceed into the educational area, trying to help us better conserve our water, for those, I'd like you to consider that for those of us that have more grass than we probably need, and especially with this coming down the pipe, I'm interested in zero-scaping, and I'm also interested in some type of a situation like my sister had down in Las Vegas, and they paid an arm and a leg for their water. But the city, they went to the city, they zero-scaped their front yard. They don't use but just, a gallon for all of their little plants. And the city had a rebate program. They contracted with the contractor to come in and do it, and then they got a rebate on that. Just food for thought.
Yeah, no, good idea. That's been kicked around, and I think it'd be a good option to look at. Larry?
Yes. Who owns the ponds? Where are the ponds? Storage. That storage water you get from the sky. And if it is, can we make more ponds or more storage things so we can carry through the dry years with a real wet year that the water runs down to Utah Lake, feeds a carp?
Yeah, we're always looking. We did a feasibility study to put a new reservoir at Payson Canyon, and it was about 180 million for 10,000 acre feet. We did go to Central Utah Water because they're in the water business, and said, could you help partner with us so we could do that? And they said, we built Jordanelle.
It costs too much to do it.
They said for the amount of water that you could put, the 10,000 acre feet, it's not worth it. So we're trying to look at other things. We're looking at getting with the Forest Service. Maybe we could dredge out some of the Payson lakes to get more space in there for more storage. We've talked in previous meetings with Highline Canal of maybe using the canal as a storage place. there's different things that we try to look at to help with the storage, because we do need, especially in the dry years, we need that storage to help so that we do have water in those drought years. So
We
good
still are
comment.
required by law to send a certain amount of water to Utah Lake.
I know that they have
So,
rights, yeah.
Yeah, and that's,
Just extra water that sort of runs down, like we just ditch out by our house, and the thing floods over, runs all over the whole country.
And just for your information, those 2 PI lines we put in, there's about 13,000 feet, and that cost us $2.3 million. So you got to remember, every project that we do costs money that we have to fund through the utility rate.
But
we're hoping that Central Utah Water Project, as it comes down, the pressure in it is significant, that we can keep our water levels higher in those ponds, and we'll store it up higher.
Look at Dry Creek, which runs over and floods our whole neighborhood every year. We got ponds out there. Ponds that collect out there, the water just stands.
I'm like Mr. Grant, the city took water off my property. The old town is paying for the new part of town. We gave up our water. I go up the canyon, and none of the collection ditches have been cleaned for years to go into the big reservoir. I go down into the narrows, there's water running down the ditch, coming out of the government. A lot of ways we can conserve, a lot of ways we can collect more water, but the city's not willing to do it, I guess, you know. We're supposed to get water out of the canyon first of April. Your last water man wouldn't put it in the system until May, into May. I just have a hard time with the meters until the city is willing to go collect more water. I think we need to look at that.
Thank you.
There's more dynamics to cleaning those things out than all of us realize. I'm starting to learn more and more of those restrictions that the federal government puts on us. You want to build a reservoir? Well, there's a lot of Army Corps of Engineer regulations you got to go by. And the same thing with cleaning the stream. We cleaned Dry Creek, and to be honest with you, we violated the law of cleaning it, so that we didn't flood. So there's a lot of restrictions, and whatever we can do, and sometimes outside of the law, we will try and do that too, because it makes sense. But it's not that the city doesn't want to. It's that the city has to go through a lot of different regulations to be able to, and then have the manpower to do it.
I have a question. Can you speak up? We can hardly hear you.
I'll repeat it.
If my neighborhood is the first to get a meter, and it takes 8 years to all the meters in, what will I pay?
The question was if her area is the first to get meters, and it takes 18 months to get the rest of the city in, how much will she be paying? Just the rate you're paying now. We're not going to add anything since you got a meter. We're trying to get the data to help us set that rate. During that time. The only reason the rates would change is, like I say, every year the council looks at it, and if the expenses go up, I mean, the last few years we've done what's called a consumer price index. If it's gone up, we've tried to make a little change with each utility. So that could happen on your water, but we're not making a decision on the use of water with the meters until after we have some of the data. So
When are the meters going to start going in? What's the plan?
well, they have to have a construction meeting, pre-construction meeting. They're ready to go, and it depends on the weather.
So it'll be this winter?
They could have some going this winter, next spring, and into the summer, and then next year.
That's my original question. All right, at the $22 a month, and we only use it for a few months during the year, on certain days, during certain hours, it comes to pretty close to $300 a year. So, back to my initial question. If people want to opt out, like somebody on a fixed income, okay? If people want to opt out, since you're putting the meters on, can we shut that meter off and, yeah, shut the line off, and you don't get charged for all that?
There's no provision in the ordinance to opt out of the water system.
If she doesn't use the water, she's not going to be charged additionally for any additional water.
No, you will have the base rate. You'll have the base
One more
rate.
question. When we put these meters on, are we going to be rationed, which started with Mayor Bill's and is continued on down through? I mean, city telling us when we can water and when we can't. I think we use more water that way than if we watered when we need it. Instead of every
The hope is no, we don't want to say you're rationed, but a lot of it depends on Mother Nature. When we were in year 3 and 4 of the drought situation, there was no other alternative, or else just shut the system off in August. So a lot of it depends on the situation, but the hope is with the metering and you see how much water you're using, and if you use a lot of water and it's costing you more, you would dial back. And so hopefully there's going to be a conservation element to the meters where we won't have to say you can only water on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But it's going to depend on the year and how much rain and how much moisture we have.
And that's the root of this. I mean, every system that we have looked at that is currently doing similar to what we're doing, they've had a savings. Some up to 30% or more that they conserve the water. And so we will hopefully, I don't have a crystal ball that tells me, but we're hopefully going to do this so we won't have to ration anything. That goes back to my comment. You can have those water rights, but if there's no water there, then you can't use that water right other than just show that paper. So this is the overriding thing for the city and any city that's going to use water, which are all of them, that we conserve the water so we can have water when we need the water.
Yes, that's my concern right here. I have neighbors around me, that's why I'm glad to hear you too, some of them. They have used the water all over the place, 4 to 5 days a week, and on Sunday, 4 to 5 hours, 4 to 5 days. I have 2 properties with meters right side by side. I mean, there's 2 houses right side of it. I hardly use anything. 1 day a week is all I do with the tractor right there. I mean, so it's like people, whatever the base rate's going to be, if people are going to go above that, and somebody's saving below that, can't they get a kickback then for not using that?
Those are things we need to look at as we look at the consultants and look at the data. And if there's a way if people are really using less water than they should, whether they get a break. I mean, that's something that's been talked about. Yes, I'm sorry. Most of it wasn't a question. He indicated that many of his neighbors, they water 24/7. He's kind of glad that this is coming up so that, you know, the people that are watering every day constantly would have to pay more. But the question was if they don't use as much water, is there a way to get a rebate for using less water? And so we have talked about those things. We haven't come up with a policy yet, but those are things we will consider.
So this is a question I have, based on what he said. There's a city ordinance right now that tells us when we can and cannot water, correct? I've watched city cars, I've watched the police, I've watched people drive right past where watering is continual. Watering is between the 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock at night, and nothing's done. And we're the ones being penalized by meters. The second issue to that is, in several places in town, there have been broken pipes under the street. And I can tell you, myself and my wife, we call the city, and we get an indignant attitude back from the city. We'll get to it when we're getting around to it. It doesn't sound like you're trying to conserve water. And some of these breaks in these pipes have gone on for months before they were fixed, especially the ones
We do agree with that, and I apologize if the city staff was indignant.
But how come it's not been fixed? Why does it take months to fix a broken pipe? And you stand there and tell us about water. This is what we can't understand.
I was going to try to explain that.
Almost everyone in this room has seen abuse of the water And yet our government, our city government, our police department, our city employees that drive around in trucks on our tax dollars do not enforce the law that's currently, or how about just remove the law if you're not going to enforce it?
We try to fix them when we can. We've got a crew of 5 people on our water department. They fixed, is it over 70 leaks this year?
Yeah, we fix usually over 100 leaks a year. We have to maintain the culinary, the PI.
We've got an old system, and it's not a lack of trying. We send our crews every day to try to fix them. And so it's a matter of trying to prioritize, and we try it. So we apologize if they don't get fixed on time, but we do. We're up over 70 right now, and we're trying to fix them as we can. Yes, ma'am.
Because we are at the bottom of our growth cycle, I'm wondering if the city has considered gray water systems for all new development and to the next 20 years, 25 years. A gray water system would eliminate the use of culinary water for watering gardens or lawns and such.
Well, that's what we have right now. Our secondary system waters the lawns. We're not using the culinary water for that. So we went to that back in 1991. We did save a lot of our drinking water because of that. But we do have that in place. And we do have the ability to use some of our wastewater as well. We received that from the state. I'm not sure who put their hand up first.
Look over this.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I have a friend who lives in Spanish Fork. They put this metering on his place. He's got one of the nicest pressurized irrigation systems on his place. He can't afford the water, so he's got weeds. And the city comes to him and says, "You got to cut them weeds down. Because it looks trashy around here." Well, I can't afford the water. So, because of the metering system we put in on my place. So, this is what I have to do. And so that will take us to start. That's all I want to know. Are we going to have a trashy town? Like, my friend over at Spanish Fork, they can't afford the water because he's on a fixed income. So he has to grow weeds 5 feet tall.
So the question was, if you didn't hear, the question was, he's got a friend over at Spanish Fork that's got a great pressurized irrigation system, but he can't afford to pay for it, so he just let the weeds grow. And then the city gets after him to clean up his property. We hope that that doesn't happen. We're really trying, the city council really trying to make things affordable. And we hope that that will be the case for the pressurized system.
I talked to a lot of people in Spanish Fork, and some of them are upset, obviously, but a lot of them said their bills went down. So when they got on and they watered responsibly, they actually paid less. Now, some who chose to water more are paying a lot more, and there's stories on the news, and some pay more. But I know a lot of residents that I've talked to personally in Spanish Fork are actually paying less because they're monitoring their water. Now, I don't know if their yards are weeds. They may or may not be. I can't answer that question because I haven't been to their yards. But I know that there is some potential to pay less.
How many fines has Payson City implemented over the last 3 years for people watering when they're not supposed to?
How many what?
How many fines has Payson City implemented? I know I've called on it, and it falls on deaf ears.
I don't know the number. We have issued some citations. Here's the problem that we have. People that water at night you can go by in the morning and say they watered and they shouldn't have been watering because you can see the road wet or the sidewalk or the driveway. But you take that into court, you have to have somebody that can say, I saw them watering. So it's very difficult unless you have people just driving the streets at night saying, we're going to catch these people watering. And we haven't got to that point with the staff to say, we're just going to go ride the roads all night. So we have issued citations. We have gone, and I even know some former council members that just went, knocked on the door and say, turn your water off.
Does the city look in the mirror at what water they waste?
That's right.
Yeah, we've had complaints about that. We've tried to water in the day, even though we say so that we keep the pressure up. But sure. Sorry.
So with the new metering system going in the way it's being paid, are we going to be paying for that just the months that we use it, or is it going to be a year-round fee like it's now?
It's split out over the full year, so it's a monthly fee.
So it's like a quarterly.
Your bill would be twice as big in the months that you water if we didn't spread it out.
It's just spread out over 12 months.
So it's the same.
I would like a city councilman that I talk to after this meeting with a specific issue on a new home that I'm building. And I need to just, it
Sure.
doesn't need to be a part of this.
Okay.
That's fine, we're here.
I think we're all here, all the city council's here, so you can talk to one of them. Thanks. Yeah, back in the back.
Why does the city still require parking strips? I mean, I don't have one in front of my house. The houses across the street have parking strips that are hard to water. And there's always a stream of water running down the gutter.
I want to answer this one.
I just got overruled.
You got overruled. This came to city council a few months ago, a year ago. I lose track of days when they did this, and asked us to adopt the Mow strip. We went from the monolithic pour. They asked us to go back to the Mow strip. Now what you put in the Mow strip is up to you. If you want to zero-scape it, you want to fill it in with gravel or put concrete back in it, that's fine. It's the width of the sidewalk that we're after there. And is what it does is it gives our road crews somewhere to put snow in the wintertime. Because we can't push it onto your sidewalk, because if it's on your sidewalk, you have to push it back off onto the road. So we're trying to look ahead, and it doesn't look like a whole lot, but you put a windrow of snow right there and it gives somewhere for that snow to build up. And it is a pain because you kind of have to water it throughout the summer months. Probably not the best snow to have on your grass in the winter months either, but it gives us somewhere that as a community we can put that snow, and that was the objective with it. And I've adopted that. All new construction will have that the way it is. The older parts of town, when they come in, they'll try to match what's existing when possible, but the new code is to put that 2-foot area in there for snow removal purposes.
Every house will have it now then?
Well, all new houses from here on out will have it, yes.
It's up to you what you put in that strip. You don't have to put a lawn in it. You can put whatever landscape stuff you want in that strip.
Mine's 6 months, there's 6-foot strip.
How wide is it? It's 6 feet, I apologize. So the Mow strip is 6 feet wide, and then your sidewalk is standard behind that. So, did that answer your question? Let me grab Bart first, see his head, and then we'll come back to you, Steve. Yeah.
Question, how much is it gonna cost us? Because I put a valve, my own valve in to turn the system off. Do I have to provide more supplies to put that valve in?
No, this is what they'll bring to you. It's up here if you want to come look at it. They'll put that in your system from the city connection to wherever they need to that causes the least impact to the system.
So are they gonna clean up their mess when they leave?
Yep.
You just brought up the issue of snow removal and the reason for that strip. There's work place to pile snow. When did the city start pushing snow other than down this way and this way, and then between where the traffic goes and the gutter, which is approximately 15 feet, they don't push any snow?
Well, that's for the street department. I'm stepping out. Hey, I know when I've been beat.
Well, one of the reasons they don't, and that generated another thing that's really controversial. As a police officer, I had to deal with it. You come along the side of the road where the cars are, and then you hit the cars or knock the mirrors off, and then the city's responsible for that. And then also, if you get too close to that curb, the mowing strip becomes not a thing that is a plus because it goes all the way onto your sidewalk. Go ahead.
And I know we're a little off subject here, but
That's okay.
It's water.
how come I get a warning from Payson Police Department because I take my four-wheeler out there and push that snow up against the curb and clear everybody's mailboxes away, and the police come by and tell me I can't do that?
Are you putting it in the roadway?
I'm putting it over to the gutter from the roadway.
I'm not familiar with that.
And I had to go spend a lot of money to get my four-wheeler street legal.
Sure.
So that I could do it. I mean, that was another thing that.
Yep. You're right, that's a little bit off of what we're doing, but we can answer it. We'll get with you.
Any other, right here?
I have a question about those people that are interested in xeriscaping. Are there any rules that need to be known about the city right now that you should and shouldn't do?
Right now, there's nothing in our ordinance. We have considered maybe offering some incentives to the new developments if they xeriscape. We haven't put anything in place yet.
So Payson got any plans to filter the water, get cleaned up a little bit? It's terrible.
Yeah, you noticed this last year. The question was if Payson has any plans to filter the water and clean it up a little bit. Last year, you've seen that. We had a lot of problems. A lot of that problem came from the fires. And we were told by the feds and everybody that this is going to be a problem for the next probably 5 years because of the debris that comes down. And it came down, it clogged our filters. We do have some filters on the system, but it clogged everything. And if you go look at the PI pond now, there's a lot of debris in the bottom. We got to clean that out. But we are looking at different filters. But yeah, with the fires, it was more than was anticipated.
We have already hired our consultant. It's going to cost about $500,000 to $750,000 to upgrade our filters and get more of them on there.
But we are looking at it.
We are looking at it.
But we can't filter everything. I mean, you can't, we try to we'll filter as much as we can, but when it's that dirty, you cannot filter everything.
Okay, that's the last week I got my filter.
Back in the back.
You guys have anything in place where you can actually have a zero water?
Plans. That's what a plan does.
We don't have to use that area and not have lawn, not have trouble.
I missed the first part, I'm sorry.
I know apartments, we have to have so much lawn for so many, whatever the apartment units. If you zero water, you know, in an area, in landscapes, you don't need water. Do you guys have something in place so you don't get in trouble, so you can do that in an apartment situation? Or do you still have to deal with the lawn issue, where you have to have so many foot of lawn?
We don't have anything in our ordinance right now, but we are looking at that to maybe incentivize if you do more xeriscapes so you don't have to have as much grass and water there. Right now there is the ordinance right now has a requirement you have to have so much landscaping in place, you know, for the new development. So, but the xeriscape issue is one that we need to really take a look at.
I've lived with rationing water most of my life. I mean, we had cisterns, we collected rainwater, so I understand about getting into where we're water depraved. My concern is when I'm worrying about having to water my garden and maybe a few flowers I have in my yard, but then I see a park with tons of water being sprayed on it. Are you future planning more parks that this water that we're desperately being cautioned with and fined with and whatever, but yet you're continuing to build massive parks where the water's being used? Are you planning more parks that in the future? Because you know, I understand we're growing.
We are. The ordinance has some open space requirements. As more people come, more people want to use the parks. But yeah, I mean, we'll try to do what we can to minimize our water use as well with these meters to see how much we're using.
Everybody has to.
Everybody has to conserve, and we're trying to, city included.
Any ordinance against stuff we got big water goes with lids on them, but when we get the snow, we can, you know, say there's an ordinance.
So the question was if they had, like, I can't remember what you said, but barrels or something so that when it snows you can fill those up. That's something I'd have to research because I know the state passed something that they had the barrels from the water runoff from the rain gutters. I think the state had some issues with that. I don't know locally if we have that problem. But
they did change the laws recently and they lightened up on it, is my understanding. Before it was completely illegal to gather the water off your rooftop. It didn't belong to you, it belonged to somebody downstream. And Utah came back and they have changed that to some degree. I can't.
Yeah, we'd have to look and see how the law changed.
There are some laws governing that water.
You can harvest water from your roof. I have 2 rain barrels. All you have to do is go online up to the state and they authorize you. You can just do it online. You don't have to.
Yeah, I knew they prohibited it, and then I think they reestablished that. So yeah, there very well might be a ability to do that.
Authorize yourself then. Okay.
I know the state can have a few solid ones that you can't use rainwater because that belongs to us. But it doesn't belong to them. I don't give a rat's tail.
It does belong to the state.
Right. And the finding says a year ago, a year and a half ago, it was okay to use rain.
Yeah, I think they did change that. That's a good point. All right, well, I think we're trying to draw this to a close. We'll let the mayor have the final words, and if you want to talk to some of the council members, but we appreciate you being here. We're going to try to have additional public meetings as we get with our consultants and see, get some more data, and we'll try to make this an opportunity where you can have your voice heard. But we appreciate the comments, appreciate all of you that have come out. Mayor?
I'll just echo Dave's words. We appreciate it. I know it's a very emotional situation, and we don't have all the answers. That's why we've got 18 months and even longer than 18 months to come up with the answers. It's not that you can't trust the city. It's what you don't know that we know, and we're going to try and get you educated to what we know. And if we don't, what we know is wrong, we'll figure that out and get the right information. We're not perfect. We're working very hard because we live here too. I'm a citizen here too, and it was mentioned that you pay our wages. Well, I pay my wage too. We're all in this together, and the only way that we're going to be able to make Payson the great place that it is and will continue to be is by working together. And so I would just encourage every one of you. There'll be multiple meetings like this, and some of them will be earmarked for certain things and others will be earmarked for other things. But we want you to come. We need you to come because we don't have all the answers, and it will spur us on to get some more. So thank you for being here.